Hey girls, so I have strep throat today. I might sound kind of okay, but even now it kind of hurts to talk. So I am not developing your regularly scheduled podcast episodes this week. I am going to be posting a few of my most popular, most downloaded episodes since the beginning of time of this podcast. And I hope that you enjoy them as much as I had making them and finally getting the story out to everyone. There have been a lot of new uploads and new listeners since then, since these early episodes, so I think that hopefully they can bless you and love you guys. It's currently the day after Easter, so he is risen. I pray that you know him, and happy Easter. Hey girl, welcome to Money and Mental Peace, a podcast for Christian college girls wanting to graduate debt-free. Do you procrastinate on homework while Googling easy scholarships and money for college because you're drowning in debt and student loans? Afraid you'll never have enough time and motivation to find ways to pay for college when you don't even have enough time to sleep or have a social life? I'm Kara. I too was a stressed college student and overachiever looking for money and mental peace. I wondered if there were other ways to pay for college, and I wished for a clear direction on how to do it. I wanted an easier way to fund college with less anxiety, but I kept telling myself I had no idea what to do, thought I wasn't finishing school fast enough, and thought I would never have enough money. Until some scholarships and rare school hacks got me through debt-free, and I can show you how to do this as well. In this podcast, you'll find mental peace, answers for your future, and enough money to kill it at college. So grab your cold brew and TI-89 and enroll in the most stress-free and debt-free class that you've ever attended. This is Money and Mental Peace. All right, class is in session. This is Kara. And if you're new here, I am the host of Money and Mental Peace. First, we're going to start out with a quick review on Apple Podcasts. There's a 5-star review by Rose Banza Kasango. Is that how you pronounce your last name? She said, this was very interesting. I will definitely recommend this podcast to my younger siblings and friends who are trying to get into college. I wish I had this info before. Thank you so much, Rose. I hope this info can help the people in your life, even though I apparently didn't have it all set up before when you were in college. So what we're talking about today is a cool new, I guess maybe I should have had it as the first episode ever, right? Because wouldn't you want the number one way to graduate debt-free? But no, if you've listened to all of the other episodes before this, it's just kind of been preparing you. You've seen that there are ways to graduate debt-free and that you want to. But what is the number one way that you will be able to no matter what? Well, first off, a story. So after college, I had the idea of writing a book about my experiences. I have been in the process and kind of have a rough draft, although it's a very, very rough draft. So I guess you could call it the rough draft of a book. But part of what I did in all of this situation was also interview some of my friends and other people who I knew had graduated either debt-free or just even if they hadn't finished college, they hadn't gone into debt yet and whatnot. And so, hey, I interviewed some friends and they said I could use their info and their names in my book. But hey, I'm doing this first if I ever do finish that book. So I'm doing it in the podcast. So this is my friend Andrew, called him different things. And I had talked with him about college and how he had been doing it at the community college where I was at as well. And this is a relatively short story compared to a bunch of others I got, but it's so poignant for just this one tip and way to graduate debt-free. He said about college, he said, I paid for it by doing 3/4 of a full semester because that is what I could afford. So it takes longer, but no loans. Period. Let me repeat that one more time. I paid for it, college he's talking about, by doing 3/4 of a full semester because that is what I could afford. So it takes longer, but no loan. And there you have it, folks. I know I'm being a bit vague, but just the number one way guaranteed to graduate from college debt-free, the number one way, like no matter what, it'll always work, is just simply only do school when you can afford it. I know that's probably like a crazy concept and probably extremely boring. You were ready to know some really deep situation and way that you'd always be able to have the money for it. But literally, if you didn't have the money to go buy a boat, you didn't really need a boat or whatever, you don't need to go get a loan for it if you can't afford it, especially if you're young and you don't know what you're going to do with that boat, right? What if you're planning on going to college? You think you know what you want to major in, but it might change or whatnot. But you really want to graduate debt-free, and you're just like, I hope I can do it without debt. There's a way to do it without debt. You just don't go into debt. I know. You're like, that sounds kind of crazy because, we're just taught you just get a loan for college. And let me be clear, I'm not saying you can always do it super fast this way, but I had to take longer to do school because I literally went into it with the mindset, I'm not getting a loan, so something else needs to be figured out. And it would take me longer if I didn't necessarily have the funds for it or know what I was finishing right then. And of course, that's your choice, if you want to do that or if you're wanting to do it in a certain time frame and get a loan. But if the number one goal in this, besides, following God's guidance, his footsteps, is to graduate college debt-free, then just don't get a loan. It's mind-blowing, that simple. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. That's the advice. And the rest of the podcast episodes that I've talked about thus far show you ways how that you can do that through grants, scholarships, internships, getting free textbooks, testing out of classes, getting paid to do your homework or paid to take notes. If you're new here and hearing all this information and you're like, what? You got paid to do your homework? Yes, I did. Go look at some of the other episodes. What I'm saying is there are so many ways to lower expenses and raise the amount of money you have for college. But just Drew's story is so poignant to point out, literally, you can guaranteed graduate debt-free if that is actually your goal and you just don't go into debt. Take that into account as you think through what you're trying to finish and do in college. Pray about it and see how it works for you and ask God to guide you through such things. So there's my really quick podcast for you guys today. But for this first Debt-Free Friday, I thought it would be appropriate to tell you that guaranteed you can graduate debt-free if you just plan to. It's kind of like going into marriage and being like, divorce isn't even an option, so you don't get divorced. So I hope you enjoyed that. Listen, this is not me coming to you and being like, I hate you if you don't graduate debt-free, or I hate you if you get a loan, or whatever. I'm not coming into here telling you that people aren't successful or whatever who have gotten a loan before for college. I'm simply coming in saying, do you want to graduate debt-free? Then you can and you will if you don't get a loan. Does that make sense? I'm saying, if that's the starting point, then you will graduate debt-free. You will, 100%, guaranteed every time, graduate debt-free if you simply do not go into debt. So anyways, yeah, that's the gist of it today. I would like to offer you some help as well in your road to all of this.
Hey girl. Okay, so before you run off to calculus, if this podcast has brought you any encouragement, would you please write a review on iTunes or take a screenshot, post it in your Insta stories, and tag me. Let's tell the rest of our stressed sisters that more money and peace can be attained outside of the conventional way of doing college. See you next time. Love and prayers, Kara.